Welcome to the Cosmic Broadcast, created by fans for fans of comic book media. We're happy to have you with us today. All we ask is that you sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. There are many perfect duos that exist in this world. Burger and Fries, SpongeBob and Patrick,
Cosmo and Wanda,
Batman and the Joker. Today, we're looking at our favorite individual portrayals of Batman and the Joker and what made them great, in our opinion.
And here we go.
Shout out to my man Matt for giving us this topic. He knows I love Batman, and this is one that was actually pretty easy for me. We're gonna go Batman first. My absolute favorite Batman. After all the years of watching Batman, all the portrayals of Batman, gotta go with my man Ben Affleck. Batfleck, man. He is 100% the best portrayal as Batman to me. So far, we don't know what Robert Pattinson's gonna do right now, but so far, they gave us Ben Affleck, the darkness of him, the brutalness of him, the gadgets of him. And I like the fact in the movie where he started to talk, he had the little voice changer up, right? So he wasn't doing the whole Christian Bale move where he's trying to talk like he's got a raspy voice. I absolutely hated that. The actual portrayal of Batman and the Batman that I like, whether it's in the comics or even in the video games, is that dark Batman, that Batman that is going to give you that put that fear into your heart just by seeing that bat symbol. So for me, it's got to be Ben Affleck. I'm actually giving Robert Pattinson some high hopes because that's the best Batman movie I've ever seen.
He's got a lot to live up to, but the fact that we're already one movie in and Robert Pattinson is already getting himself up there in the echelon of Batman.
Hey, can I be controversial for a second?
Go for it.
He's top 3 Batman so far.
Oh, no discussion.
3.
No discussion.
Might be top 2, but he's definitely top 3, 100%. We can argue that all day.
That sequel's going to tell us a lot about him for sure whenever that comes out.
The sequel's going to be the one. That's going to be the one that really lets us know, hey, are you really up for this? Or were you just BSing me for 3 hours? Okay. Were you just BSing me for 3 hours? All right. I need to see what you about.
So I'm going to go ahead and call an audible because I ironically had the same one.
Oh,
okay. So instead of this being, guys, I'm just going to let you know, we are going to go ahead and just turn this from us debating different types of Batman to, it looks like we're going to be focusing on the essence of one specific character, and this is Ben Affleck's portrayal. And obviously, he left enough of an impact on both of us. We never talked about this beforehand. We didn't know what the other person's pick was going to be. So we've probably prepared different sets of notes, different observations. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring out what I noticed. And I'm going to mention the things that to me, is what made Ben Affleck's Batman the best portrayal that we've seen. Like you said, I got huge inspirations from the comic books, specifically Frank Miller's Dark Knight comics. I found that his big, intimidating, brutish kind of atmosphere he gave off, and this weathered, beaten down Batman who just didn't care anymore, I thought that was a very unique take that we hadn't seen yet. And then honestly, I wrote this down and I kind of did some digging. I could low-key see this Batman in a younger form being part of the Justice League animated show. Maybe like a younger, more hopeful, more inspired Batman. Because you got to think, this Ben Affleck Batman, well, let's call him Batfleck. He's
Batfleck all day.
Batfleck is the only Batman, I think, live action that has interacted with other supes. Correct me if I'm wrong. We're talking Superman, we're talking
hold on.
Green Lantern, we're talking
I believe you are correct. I believe you are correct.
And so when I went back and rewatched Batman v Superman, by the way, the director's cut is the only one that does him true justice. Because they really embrace the sides of Batman that really stuck out to me. But
100%.
When you look at that and you see how he interacts with supes and stuff, I could see him being, in his younger days, more of like a leader, more of the Batman that we see in the animated show, where he is a little more of the galvanizing force behind the Justice League. And personally, the suit is the best live action suit out of all the Batman. It's practical and it's simple. I don't think we get that enough these days. I love Robert Pattinson. I love his take on the Batman, but I feel like every single Batman almost overthinks it, or they throw on too much latex or leather, and it's like you start to think, how could they make that work? Think about this: when you're in a fighting stance, you got to hear that leather creak a little bit when you're swinging around. You know, like you got to hear that.
Oh,
like,
100. Oh yeah.
So for me, it's like.
And just to interject, talking about the bat suits, we just gonna, you know what I'm saying? I gotta say this, bro. Correct me if it was either Val Kilmer's I want to say it was Val Kilmer's Batman. Why does he have nipples in the bat suit? That bothers me. That's bothered me ever since I seen the movie.
It's just a distraction. That's all it is.
Why does this does the bat suit have nipples? Get him out of here. You're fired. I would have immediately never done that movie. But go ahead.
The way he used his gadgets effectively, to me, was one of those things that also stuck out to me, because he was smart in how he used them. He had his batarangs, he had his grapple gun, and he used them super creatively. I can't stress enough that warehouse fight in Batman v Superman, where he is a man on a mission, and he is not pulling any punches. Now, this kind of segues into the controversial side, where a lot of people are complaining, oh, this Batman kills, Batman doesn't kill. You've got to think, as much as I love this Batman, I do believe we were shorted on so much of his backstory leading up to this, because this is an older Batman. He's been through things. He has seen Robin abused and killed by the Joker. He's been through basically hell and back for probably 20 plus years. And so you do see him on the tail end of his career where he's old, bitter, angry, and then he stops pulling his punches. I think we were robbed of, ironically, a great portrayal of Batfleck in his solo film, and when he got replaced by Robert Pattinson. As great as he was, I still wanted Ben Affleck to get his own solo movie, because then we could also solve the other problem that people complained about, which was his lack of detective work. They really said that solo movie was going to be a detective focused film for him, and that for me was all I ever wanted, was to get that final piece of him going up against Deathstroke, and Deathstroke taking apart Bruce Wayne and Batman's life piece by piece. And then Batfleck has to basically use his smarts as he's slowly losing his resources to figure out how to basically recover his name and his family's legacy.
I also agree. They just did not do Batfleck justice, man. Even if they would have gave us one solo movie, just one, even if you would have gave us the one solo movie with or without Robin, like the first one, Dick Grayson, I would have been cool with going into Batman vs Superman, you know, with a little bit better of an open mind. But, you know, writers, whatever.
That's why.
Shout out to my man Hakeem. He loves Batfleck too. He's my favorite Batman.
There's a lot of Batfleck fans out there. They just, sometimes you kind of feel self-conscious about it, because usually people who are a fan of Batfleck tend to get a lot more hate, because to them that's the most laziest pick you can make, which I would strongly disagree with. Because if you look at, I'm going to call it Justice League, because it's the Joss Whedon version of Justice League, completely, like you mentioned before, butchered the core concept of Batman. He doesn't crack jokes all the time. He's not goofy. They basically turned him into a joke, and I'm thankful for the director's edition of the Snyder Cut for Justice League, because they at least gave him some sort of respect back on his name. And I appreciated that they had the heart to do that. However, I feel like by then it was too little too late. And I think the last time we're going to see him is in the Flash movie coming out. And he's basically going to be kind of the bridge that segues the next wave of DC films, which is super sad for me, because I know Ben Affleck at first was enjoying his time in the role, and that's why he was so excited to direct and star in the solo Batman movies, because he was passionate about it. But I think the studio interference, the behind the scenes shenanigans, I think he just couldn't keep up with it anymore. And so for me, it's not about me having any negatives towards Ben Affleck's portrayal. It's more so of a looking back at what could have been. And unfortunately,
he had so much more potential. He had so much potential. Imagine if we would have got which we basically did get in Batman vs Superman, but imagine if we would have got a Dark Knight Returns movie.
Oh,
with Ben
absolutely.
Affleck and Henry Cavill, where
Mhm.
they actually fight and then he actually dies and all of that. That would have been crazy good. That would have
Mhm.
been crazy good.
My closing thought for this would be other Batman, every single other live action Batman and animated Batman took me some time to adjust to fully invest myself in their role. No actor, both voice and physical, have portrayed a bad version of Batman, in my opinion, but each one took me a little bit of time to get used to and get acclimated to. Batflick is the only version of Batman that
Mhm.
I could fully get invested to quickly without having to take some time to get used to him, because the moment I saw him in Batman v Superman, I was like, oh, this dude is no joke. And so
Mhm.
that's why it's an easy choice for me.
Man, so the Joker time, my favorite Joker, it might be slightly controversial to y'all.
Go for it.
We actually might have the same one, but if I have to be, so I'm saying it's gonna be controversial.
Go for it.
If I have to be 100% honest with y'all, Mark Hamill is my absolute favorite Joker of all time.
I respect that.
He was in the Batman animated series. He was in a couple of Superman episodes. I want to say he was in a couple of Justice League episodes. That man was in like one or two Static Shock episodes. He portrayed the Joker in Batman Beyond the movie. He portrayed the Joker in what is my favorite, Batman Return to Arkham and Batman Assault on Arkham and Batman Arkham Knight, the game. He has the app. I can watch the Batman animated series. Let me not forget Batman Mask of the Phantasm, one of my favorite Batman movies. And hearing that laugh, hearing that menacing voice, hearing just how he talked to Batman, how he can go from being laughing to being crazy to being serious. I can physically see Mark Hamill as the Joker. But if I have to be 1,000% honest, if Mark Hamill actually played the Joker, I think he'd be better than Heath Ledger.
That is a controversial take.
If Mark Hamill legit got into character and played the Joker, I think he'd be better than Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger's performance was crazy. Crazy. The laugh was amazing. But that Mark Hamill's, that extra like that he does, the sinisterness in his laugh is what puts him up here.
And it took him time to perfect it. He had to work
Oh,
on it and
dude.
develop it. And you got to think, he's been playing the Joker for 30 plus years.
Yeah,
This
easily.
dude is a vet.
He goes to conventions just to laugh.
Mhm.
Before we did this episode, before today, I went back and I watched a whole bunch of videos on Mark Hamill when he started doing the voice acting. The side by sides of him, like, as a Joker, and then him. It is insane how good he is, which is why when we were talking and I said, dude, sometimes voice actors are better. In my personal opinion, they can be depending on the role.
My favorite Joker is Heath Ledger.
It's gotta be. It's those
That's-
only two.
That's the one I came prepared for.
Those are the
So,
only two, man.
The biggest thing about Heath Ledger that I'm just going to go ahead and start out my notes on is this is one of those few instances where they went for a more grounded and unique version of the Joker and absolutely stuck the landing.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think about it, they tried something new with Jared Leto. They tried something new with some of the new voice actors. No disrespect to Troy Baker on the Arkham Origins game. He did great. However, with Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight, this is not the typical kind of Joker that you would think you would see. It fits Christopher Nolan's vision of what the Dark Knight trilogy really is. The costume that he wears is realistic. It looks like something you could piece together yourself. But yet it holds on to its comic roots with the little gadgets he's got. And he's still got the purple and green, just in a different faded kind of style. His makeup is incredible. And then side note, Heath Ledger did insist on putting together all the makeup himself. So like he applied it to himself in order to fully embrace what the Joker would be thinking and doing in that moment. Another just sign of how dedicated he was to his role. Another thing is his backstory, or in the movie, lack thereof. Because in the comics, Joker's one of his most iconic quotes is, if I wanted to have a backstory, I'd want it to be multiple choice. And this fits in perfectly with how Heath Ledger presents his backstory, because he gives you a different one every single time. Whether it's
Yep.
mommy grabbed the kitchen knife, or
Mhm.
him and his wife got into an argument, or he's a family man, all this kind of stuff, he keeps switching, and it gives you that sense of not knowing where his true colors are. Who is he behind the curtain? Who is this man? And he giving off this aura of mystery and suspense, to me, is just incredibly well done.
And it just shows you this man is crazy. This man is crazy.
I acknowledge that he's crazy, but I also raise you that he's self-assured, he's confident, and he's manipulative. Sorry, wow, I butchered that. Manipulative. Wow. I totally butchered, but you know what I'm saying.
But no, I know. But no, what's crazy
he knows what he's
about
doing.
him being crazy? The man knows, like you said, he knows. He knows just how wild he is and can get, which is why he is so dangerous. The dynamic between them two, yin and yang, they need each other, which is very stated multiple times in comics, TV shows, movies, all over the place. They need each other.
You got to think, he's not directly a physical threat to Batman. He's not like Bane where he can just beat him up and just move on. He's not a physical threat, but in a way, he is worse by being a psychological threat, which is how the best iterations of all Jokers are portrayed. Think about Arkham Asylum. Think about that game and how panned the ending fight scene was, because Joker got hyped up on Titan and fought Batman man to man. That's not who Joker is. And so for a lot of Batman fans, myself included, that didn't sit well, because that's not who he is. And so I like the fact that Heath Ledger's Joker knows who he is. He's 100% confident and calculated in who he is. And so he uses that to his advantage. And like he says in the end, all you need is a little push.
A little push.
The theme for The Dark Knight focuses on morality and justice, and then completely flips them on their side and makes you question, what is morality? What is justice? And Joker is a perfect antithesis to the hero in this perspective, because he asks those heavy questions of what is morality? What is justice? He corrupts Two-Face, which is a perfect example of how he's that little whisper in your ear. The one telling you, hey, take this gun. Pull the trigger if you think I'm lying. And trusting his entire life to this deranged former politician on whether or not to take his life or not, and then that in turn creates Two-Face. When it comes to the negatives, I have nothing bad to say about Heath Ledger's performance. The only thing I even wrote down in my negative category was, just like Batflick, we didn't get enough of him, and that is unfortunately due to the tragic death of Heath Ledger. Not even when he died before The Dark Knight even came out. He passed away during the editing process, which is so tragic.
Again, we didn't know how good he was going to be. And
he was criticized.
The opening scene, just the opening scene of that movie.
The bank robbery scene, right?
Again, this goes back to the fact that we're saying he's so crazy, but he's so incredibly calculated, because they did the bank robbery. He did the bank robbery at the same time with a bus where there was a bunch of buses that were in line. So the man is probably relatively a genius.
It took coordination.
He's probably realistically just a genius. He just goes about it in the most crazy way, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Moronic ways, because the man, he just wants everybody to laugh. Okay, he just wants everybody to laugh.
Well, remember what Alfred said: some men just want to watch the world burn. I really wish that Heath Ledger could have been alive to see the reaction of his performance. From critics to fans alike, everybody totally bought in once they saw his portrayal. And gosh, that is just the one thing I wish could have been changed. The thing with Batflick is he didn't get an opportunity because of studio interference and drama that we already talked about. Heath Ledger didn't get another chance for the absolute worst way possible. And it's not fair. Unfortunately, that's life. Death happens. Death happens when you least expect it. And so that is the only thing that I regret the most. And that's the only negative I have to say. And it's not even a negative for his performance. It's just the tragedy of his actual death.
Yeah. And just to say this too, what a lot of people assumed was that he got so into character that he killed himself, and that's actually not true.
That's not true at all.
Not true at all. If anybody knows who Michael Jai White is, he was one of the gangsters. He was the one that he put the pencil through his head through the table. That's Michael Jai White. I watched an interview with him, and they were talking about Heath Ledger, and he said that's not true at all. As a matter of fact, Heath Ledger would come into the studio happy as ever, ready to work, ready to making everybody laugh. And then, yeah, he said it was so crazy how he can go from being this joyful guy to immediately go into Joker mode. Yeah, an absolute. I mean, the dude has like 5 personalities, so. Yeah, you know, shout out to Michael Jai White for that. And man, R.I.P. Heath Ledger. I really wish we could have got at least one more movie out of him, man. Because, yeah, best live action for sure. Best live action.
Oh yeah,
100%.
Think about it. If a villain can upstage a hero in his own movie, you've got my vote. You have it. You've got Thanos in Infinity War. You've got Green Goblin in Spider-Man. You've got Loki in the Avengers movie. And in this case, you have Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight, who completely steals the spotlight away from Christian Bale, which is not Christian Bale's fault. Even though he's not my favorite Batman, he's still not a bad Batman. But he still takes the reins and leads the charge and becomes this force of nature in The Dark Knight that completely stole the spotlight away. And when that happens, you 100% have my vote.
I think what really sets Heath Ledger up here for me, like I said, he's right here. He's right here. Mark Hamill's got him. But he's right here. The reason why, after watching every single Joker, now this isn't something that Joker really does in any of the animated movies or shows or anything like that, but it's the fact that he has the scars right here, and when he talks, he does this right here, and it's like it's not needed, but it's kind of showing you like, yo, are you okay?
It's like a nervous tick, you know.
It's almost like
they fidget or they bite their nails.
Yeah, he's fidgeting with it, and it's more than likely because he gave himself the scars, obviously, you know. And it's just something that he does. And when he did that throughout the entire movie, man, it gives you that like, yo, this dude crazy.
You know, it reminds me of like a caged lion.
Yeah.
He's in a cage, and you just put like a nice big steak right in front of him, and he's being held back by his chains. But man, he's got his eye set on that thing, and there's nothing that's going to stop him. That's what I see in Heath Ledger. I see an animal that's just ready to pounce, and it is savoring every moment of screen time he has.
Because if you really go back and watch the movie, every time he does that, he's like, my father. He does that every time. He's like, he's got a knife to somebody's neck. He's about to kill somebody. He's clenching that thirst.
He's relishing the moment.
He's like, ooh, I'm taking this in because y'all about to die. If Batman don't get here in 2 minutes, everybody's dying. But Batman always shows up. But that's the thing. He wants Batman to show up. He wants him there. He wants him there to see the show.
But now we're going to go ahead and turn it over to you guys. So you guys go ahead and let us know in the comments. Who's your favorite Batman and who's your favorite Joker? Everybody has their own opinion, especially depending on what Batman and what Joker you grew up the most on. We'd still love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.